Hey guys, wanted to make a quick little note here because we got a little bit of Doctor Who news today. This is going to be a very small bit of information, but just to warn you, this is going to have spoilers for being caught up to Doctor Who, basically, because I have to talk about it in that context. So anyway, we got the announcement today that Millie Gibson is announced as the next companion, and this is going to be a companion for the 15th Doctor, who's going to be Ncuti Gatwa, of course, going to be taking over after David Tennant does his 3 specials at the end of 2023, which is going to be like November, and then we're going to move on to Ncuti Gatwa, and I think, by the way, that it's going to be maybe a Christmas special. But anyway, that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about Millie Gibson. First thing that strikes me about Millie Gibson is she is I believe she's the youngest companion. I think she might be, because I think Billie Piper maybe was a little bit older. The youngest companion, I mean, in New Who. I don't know if we had a younger companion in old Doctor Who. I wouldn't think we did, because I think they hired just adults in older Doctor Who. But I think at least in New Who, she's the youngest companion. And, I don't have any opinion on that part of it, really, because I don't really think it's relevant to how good she's going to do, right? A lot of people say, oh man, I really like having a younger companion, I really like having an older companion. I understand reasons for wanting to have a companion of a certain age if you like that kind of thing better, but as far as people commenting on her talent or something, nobody knows. We've seen some very you've seen movies where child actors just killed it, and we're talking about little kids, right? She's an adult, granted a very young adult, but another thing that people are saying about this is making the comparison to Rose, and it is kind of obvious to make that comparison, because here we've got Russell T Davies back, and he casts a young female actor to be with the first Doctor that he's, running again in the show, or his first Doctor that's going to be the Doctor while he's running the show, around the similar age of Billie Piper. I understand why people are making that comparison, but, I think we should let this be its own thing. I think she seems very enthusiastic to do this. I think she seems very nice, and the way she talks about the show, very gracious. She said it in the interview, which is I was honored to even get an audition. She's very, she seems to have a lot of energy. She seems to be very open, and that's great for a new companion. I really think Doctor Who releasing all these little bits, releasing these tidbits of information, kind of a steady stream, or you could say a steady trickle of information that we're getting every so often. I get the feeling they're doing this because they're trying to hype up the show, and every time I see anything about the show, I like it, right? When they talked about Disney Plus partnering up with the BBC for the funding, to give Doctor Who more funding, and distributing the new episodes of Doctor Who, starting with the 14th Doctor on Disney Plus. I loved that news. I like the new logo. I like the fact that we're probably going to get, this is something I've read. I saw people saying this. I don't know that it's actually true, but if it is, even if it isn't, all these other things are still great. But the fact that we might be getting a Christmas special again, I like these little bits of news. And look, I understand that the young female companion is kind of the tried and true format, young female companion from the 21st century. Look, I get, and I actually maintain that it's a little bit annoying that we no longer seem to want to have the companion from the past, or the companion who's not human, or a solo companion who is not a young female actor. You know what I mean? Because we've had in the past few seasons, we've had companions who were not just the one young female actor, but we've also had, that actor, in this case, during the 13th Doctor's run, never actually left the show, right? So we always had her there. And again, I don't just want to say, demographics, this is obviously the reason why she was there, but I'm just saying, I get it, it's like the show says we can't we can't ever not have this. And like, I get that that's annoying, because of the premise of the show and everything, and how much more expansive it could be, and who they could have in the TARDIS. Like, we've never really had very prominently, especially not in New Who, just like an alien who was in the TARDIS, you know, just as a constant companion. That's not really a thing in New Who, so I get it, you know. But at the same time, and by the way, we don't really know that this new companion is human. We assume that she's human because she, from what the photos we've seen of her, she isn't really wearing any what we would call alien garb, I guess. You know, but I guess I just realized that, like, we don't really know that she's human. You know, she could be a Time Lord. She could be any number of humanoid things. Maybe she just posted these pictures with Ncuti Gatwa and we haven't actually seen her real outfit. I don't really know. But I'm assuming the BBC is going to make her a young female from the 21st century Earth, right? So that's just, like, I think what the BBC is doing right now is they hit the panic button after Chris Chibnall left, because regardless of what you think of Chris Chibnall, it is indisputable that he was very divisive, angered a lot of fans, and the viewership had really dropped off, you know. Now, how much of that was due to his decisions and how much of that was just circumstantial, and how much of that was quote-unquote his fault, which is a whole other nebulous, arbitrary concept, I'm not here to discuss that. I've made my feelings on those kinds of things clear. I'm kind of somewhere in the middle on those things. But regardless of that, the show is a little bit in trouble if you want to keep it popular and you want to keep the merchandise rolling off the shelves and that kind of thing. So I think for that reason the BBC is really hitting the panic button and trying to do everything they can to bring all those people back in, and like I said, they're bringing in David Tennant, they're bringing in RTD, they're bringing back one of those major script writers, I think, and now we're seeing them, you know, bring back an old logo, and we're seeing kind of them doing the thing again, you know, kind of two young-ish people in the TARDIS together. I see the BBC, like, kind of, you know, bringing all these things back in a hurry, like, well, we're so sorry for what we did, please come back. You know, it's easy to be cynical like that, right? It's easy to just say, oh, it's obvious that they're just, you know, doing it. But at the same time, everything that I've seen is something that I've liked, because these decisions are also things that seem to, you know, even if that's not something you wanted as a goal, to see all those things come back, they're still making those things positive. And what I mean by that is, you know, even if you're not a person running on David Tennant member berries, right? David Tennant is still a really good actor. Let's say you're not a person who has nostalgia for the old Doctor Who logo. The Doctor Who logo still looks really good and really snazzy, you know, and let's say, you know, you're not a person who wanted a younger Doctor. Well, Ncuti Gatwa, very talented, right? I mean, that's the first thing RTD said, which, why did you pick him? He said talent, you know. People have a lot of criticisms of RTD. One thing they can't really say about the guy is that he didn't pick people who were talented for Doctor Who. When this guy cast Doctor Who, he picked great people, you know. Now, some people have problems with the writing in his era, and that's a whole other thing, but, like, I don't think almost anyone says that the actors in the RTD era weren't just fantastic, right? So, again, picking Ncuti Gatwa, talent, and for the same reason, I'm gonna assume. I mean, people say that I haven't ever seen Millie Gibson in anything, but people say that she's good, and if RTD picked her, I think she's good, you know. And it seems like she certainly has the right attitude, as in the actor has the right attitude, who's going to be playing this new companion, who's going to be called Ruby Sunday. And so I you know, and then we got the 15th Doctor and Ruby. All right, and the TARDIS. And it is kind of funny still, because it's like Rose, and now we have Ruby. Both kind of like associated with, like, you know, single words starting with the letter R that mean, like, the color red. So, you know, it's kind of funny. It is kind of funny. But regardless, you know, I do like these. What else was it? Oh yeah, the Disney Plus thing. Even if you're not a person who thinks that, you know, for example, that You're not a big Disney fan or whatever. I think most people want the show to have a bigger audience, right? And they want the show to have more money. So even those people are going to be on board. So like these pieces of news that they're releasing seem to be like good news all around, no matter what you want. And it's having the effect of getting people excited for the show. And people have already pointed out too that when it was leaked, when people saw David Tennant on set, the BBC made the decision to hurry up and announce that Ncuti Gatwa was the 14th Doctor before it came out that David Tennant was the 15th Doctor. So like the BBC, I think I saw Council of Geeks talking about that, right? So the BBC talking about this, the way that they're kind of building this up. And by the way, I have a fan theory here. It's not a fan theory. It's just a prediction, actually. Fan theory is kind of like about lore. I have a prediction that what's going to happen is that the older episodes of Doctor Who, as in the first 13 seasons of Doctor Who, maybe the first 12 seasons, are going to drop on Disney Plus sometime in early to mid 2023, I think. And the reason I think that is because, like, it's really weird to get this steady stream of announcements when, like, we're not going to get any major thing happening until, like, over a year from now. You know what I mean? Like, it's coming up on the date. It's going to be in 4 more days. It'll be the date where we're going to have exactly a year until we get new Doctor Who. Why then is the BBC announcing things every week or so, roughly? Are they going to do that for 52 more weeks? I don't think so, but I think they're going to want to keep this hype train going. So I think probably, they're giving people a chance to understand that new Doctor Who is going to be on Disney Plus, because that's releasing old Doctor Who on Disney Plus and releasing new Doctor Who on Disney Plus are 2 different things, and people only paying attention casually might miss that. So maybe they're given enough time so that people understand that new Doctor Who's going to be on Disney Plus, and then once that's established, then maybe they give that a couple months, and then they drop old Doctor Who on Disney Plus. Now that'll be entirely dependent on when the HBO Max contract runs out for Doctor Who, and if that contract on HBO Max is exclusive, which I don't really know if it is or not. I would think it is, because that's usually how streaming contracts work. But maybe there's a clause in the contract that says, like, well, after this amount of time, it doesn't have to be exclusive, but you still have to have it on this platform until a certain date or whatever. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But yeah, that would be my prediction, unless BBC is just going to go radio silent for a few months, for like 6 months, and then start releasing things again, which I don't see them doing. But I also don't see like what they would do in terms of like what they would release for like 52 weeks, of press. I just don't see them doing that. So, maybe they can, maybe they can ride that wave all the way to November 2023. But I would guess that they're going to drop the old episodes on Disney Plus. And another reason I think they're going to do that is because people who haven't seen Doctor Who yet, they want to give them enough time to watch it before they, when this new show comes out, they want new people watching it. Well, people aren't going to watch the new show if they haven't seen the old show. And a lot of people don't have Disney, or don't have HBO Max. Certainly not as many people as have Disney Plus, right? So I would think they want to give those people at least 4 months to watch all of Doctor Who, but even that's probably not enough time. I would think a solid 6 months to watch Doctor Who. So counting backwards from November, 6 months, that would be April, right? I am impressed that I just did that in my head. I think it's April, right? So I just added 6 months to November, I'm not going to lie. But, taking that amount of time, 6 months, that means that maybe in April they're going to drop all the episodes of Doctor Who on Disney Plus. Maybe. We'll see. But anyway, I came here to talk about Millie Gibson, and I already did. But yes, I literally, like, from what I've seen of her, I like her. It's been pointed out. I don't remember who did this exactly. There was a YouTuber talking about this, but I'm sure other people said it too. But they released a photo, the BBC did, of Ncuti Gatwa and Millie Gibson together as Doctor and Companion outside the TARDIS, and they already look great together. Like, they look like, they have chemistry. And it's hard to convey that from a photo, but it looks like they're already working together on screen well, even if it is a computer screen and it's a photo. Right? So, I every time there's a bit of Doctor Who news, I'm just smiling from ear to ear. I really want this to work, guys. And I know sometimes people can get, too much hype and they get disappointed because their expectations are too high. Like, I understand that. But at the same time, like, hype is a good thing. If you're excited for something, Doctor Who is about change and renewal. If it doesn't work at first, it can get better. It can. And I think that wave of enthusiasm is what the fandom needs. We need this new breath of life into this franchise. We've had our kind of own wilderness years, even though we haven't actually had wilderness years because we've been getting semi-steady Doctor Who. Hiatuses that make me really irritated, notwithstanding, right? I think we're gonna see a resurgence of this show. I really do. And they're focusing on a worldwide audience, which is something I like as well. Letting an American company like Disney get involved is a big step forward for the BBC, because they get very protective sometimes of, like, quintessential British programs like Doctor Who, right? So, and I know that Disney is providing mostly funding, but I think they might provide some creative input, which I don't really have a problem with, because Disney, you get things like The Rise of Skywalker, but you also get things like The Mandalorian. and Andor, and Rogue One, and then the good movies from the MCU, and Pixar, and Disney definitely is taking a risk with this, and I think they have a mutual interest in making the show excellent, and even if they offer creative decisions, I think they're going to be well motivated, and I see, the BBC, like I said, trying to do everything they can to make the show popular again. And I think I'm just very optimistic going forward. So, good job. I wish the new companion all the luck in the world, and we'll see what happens. Leave your thoughts down below, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.